Hello everyone and welcome back to my opinion. This fourth test match has come to a close. And from being 0 for 2, India have pulled off an outstanding comeback to draw this test match. And especially when the two wickets that fell earlier on today, when they fell. I think India were 222 for 4 at one point in time with a decent amount of overs to go. And after Washington and Jadeja, you've got an injured Rishabh Pant who they said would be batting in this innings, but you wouldn't know how the injury would have adversely impacted him. Then you've got a Shardul Thakur, as I've said before, he scores a 40 once in a few matches. He scored it in the first innings. Would he be a reliable option at the bat? You don't know, which is why Washington Jadeja had to bat for as long as they did. And I wasn't surprised that they did do that because of the ability Washington has got. I've maintained that he's good enough to bat at 4 in a red ball side with the ability and technique he's got, and at 5 he scored a fantastic century today. And Jadeja since 2018 has seen the form he has been in with the bat in red ball cricket, so I wasn't surprised both those played well. There was some talks that during England's batting innings, with the lengths that India hit, they did not hit the correct lengths, and there was some talk as to say, would they be up for the fight? And after the two wickets fell in the first over, I couldn't post a review video on yesterday's proceedings, but from early on when I saw Shubman Gill and KL Rahul driving as they did, I had faith that India would be able to draw this match. I wasn't surprised that they didn't lose a wicket going on to stumps on the previous day, and today, with the form and technical soundness of Washington Sundar and Jadeja, I knew that they would get this job done, and they did. We saw what happened at the end where Ben Stokes wanted the match to end early, and unless both teams agree, that can't happen. I thought it was a bit entitled because I think on the flip side, if one of their players wanted to complete a milestone after completing such a heist, then they would have been adamant that that should be done. And I think India should have batted out the remaining overs because, unlike in the previous match, there's not much of a gap. I think the next one starts on the 31st at the Oval, and today's the 27th. So you've not got many recovery days until that last test match, meaning I'd said Ben Stokes would get injured at some point. He did. He bowled 11 overs today, but he felt some discomfort in his shoulder. Jofra Archer has bowled above 20 overs in both the innings, and I'll say again, there's a difference between Ben Stokes getting injured and Jofra Archer getting injured. Ben Stokes, I feel his body can't take that workload as to bowling 20 overs more often than not at this point in time. And we've seen him get injured when batting, getting hamstring. You saw in the 100 a while ago, and that was when this latest injury fiasco started. Then he returned in the New Zealand series, overbowled himself in that match, and then got injured. So for Ben Stokes, I think his body can't take the workload. For Jofra Archer, however many days of a break he has, I think his action is biomechanically strenuous, and that's why even if he has a 9-day break, as you saw in the previous match, if he bowls an over, he can get injured, but he hasn't done that. So there's a difference between the injury situations of the two. And now coming into the playing 11s for India, because I don't think for England, and I'll make a video previewing the final test match for England. I'll say again, I would play Sam Cook ahead of Brydon Cars. They'll say he scored 47. But what impact did that 47 have on England winning the match? Nothing. I would prioritize the bowler, especially since you don't know how many overs Ben Stokes will be able to bowl. Sam Cook should play ahead of Brydon Cars. But for India, I have a feeling that they'll bring in Kuldeep because he didn't play this match when he should have done, and you saw how it impacted the bowling. But in my view, he should not be brought in at the Oval where the ball will not turn much even on the final day. You've got two defensive spinners who can bat in Jadeja and Washington. That is enough. And I don't know how they'll go with Anshul Kamboj because he can bowl 135. He's very skilled, but we didn't see that in this match. Now, the injury situation for the other seamers is not looking good with Akashdeep in injury crowd, Arshdeep Singh injury crowd. I would go with the frontline seamers. I would not bring in Nitish Kumar Reddy in place Shardul Thakur because I don't think what India need is a strengthening of their bowling. Because if you've got Washington Sundar being promoted and playing that well, drawing a test match of that's about 1.5 days, then effectively through 5 sessions, then I don't think you need to prioritize batting depth. Dhruv Jurel will play ahead of Rishabh Pant since Jagdishan will be on the bench. And instead of Shardul Thakur and maybe Anshul Kamboj, if they see fit, then you've got maybe Prasidh Krishna, or if one of the seamers are fit, Akashdeep or Ashdeep Singh, I would not bring in Kuldeep Yadav for this match just because they should have done in this one. It would be as if you're appeasing to public scrutiny or appeasing to what you saw in this match when the conditions are different. When, yes, you give above 600 runs, but the conditions are different. So I hope they don't bring in Kuldeep Yadav just because they didn't do so here. I'll make a video previewing that match shortly. So let's see what happens for that match. If you enjoy this video, please subscribe, share, friends, and my opinion. What's yours?